tell me about the cooperation with Marian Akers.
So obviously, it goes out saying with a terrible tragedy like this, everyone has jobs to do. First responders had their jobs to do, and police have been doing their job. With regard to that, my client made herself 100% cooperative with law enforcement from the very onset of this. And she continues to and will continue until all answers are obtained.
So what was discovered early on and then confirmed today?
So I can say that my client, unfortunately, had no recollection of this situation. Her recollections are of driving home after a day at work, and her next recollection was standing next to her vehicle. She immediately cooperated with law enforcement on scene. They requested and obtained from her cell phone. She provided them with the access codes to be able to access that, so they didn't have to have any further time constraints in getting into that. She was transported to hospital. While there, she cooperated with law enforcement officers. They interviewed her. She gave answers as best she could under the circumstances. She consented to toxicology screens, testing for alcohol, and a litany of drugs to assist law enforcement in determining that there was absolutely no connection with any alcohol, any type of drug, either prescription, illicit, marijuana, anything of that nature. And that was addressed today by Mr. Kelly in his press conference. That information was available and confirmed as a result of lab tests that were done in the hospital. As is protocol, the Illinois State Police obtained their own sample that was done at the same time or contemporaneous with that. That was submitted to the Illinois State Police Crime Lab, and it's my understanding that the results of that toxicology became final and were released, and that's what led to the press conference with the Illinois State Police today to confirm the results of the toxicology.
So this was what happened?
So again, this was a day like any other day. It began, my client went to work. She got off at 3. She was traveling on her way home. She was westbound on Walnut when at 3:20 she suffered what has now been diagnosed and confirmed as a seizure of some type or degree. It rendered her completely and utterly incapacitated at the time, and as a result of that seizure, she has no recollection of what occurred. Her last recollection is of traveling westbound on Walnut, and her next recollection is standing next to her Jeep.
So she has had a seizure. She's never had one before.
She has no history of any seizure disorder or anything that would advise her that she had any type of medical condition. The tests that were done at the hospital in the emergency room indicated, and she was discharged with a diagnosis of just generically a seizure. She was directed at that time to follow up and did so yesterday for further diagnostic tests, and based upon the tests that were done, the neurologist at issue, based upon the ER records, based upon the history provided by her, and based upon the results of the diagnostic reports, confirmed that this was a seizure of some type or form.
Okay. She's on no medications for that would cause, like you said, psychotropic.
No. And again, going to her cooperation with law enforcement. So from the outset, she cooperated. We met with lead detectives today. We tendered to them as quickly as we could get them her emergency room records, which included everything with regard to that. We are continuing to provide updated medical records with regard to the follow-up diagnostics and things of that nature. We are in the process of confirming for them and providing them with a complete list of medications, which is minimal, none of which have in and of themselves any psychotropic effect or any effect that would impair one in driving. And clearly, again, the toxicology that was done doesn't just address, illicit drugs and things of that nature, but it specifically, and he referenced the panels and basically the absence of anything that is commonly known to be something that could affect ability to drive, cognitive abilities, things of that nature.
Can I ask you, how is she holding up?
Well, as would be expected, she is devastated and just unable really at this point in time to fathom what happened. As with any tragedy, I guess what makes it worse is it is just, for want of a better term, a freak occurrence, something that could, nobody plans on this happening. By its very nature, a seizure, and what occurred here, a sudden, unexpected, and unforeseeable occurrence, and many times it's referred to as an act of God, which is a misnomer when you think about the tragedy that occurred here, but legally it's recognized as that, and that is there are certain things that happen that are unavoidable, that are not intentional, that are just terrible and horrific, just accidents. And so when you have a situation like this, no one contemplated this happening. She surely didn't. It was a perfect storm of events that, if she could go back in time and change, she would, just like anyone else. She's trying to deal with it and cope with it as best she can. She believes that one of the few and only things she can do for something that she truly has no fault in is to do everything she can to assist law enforcement in doing their job, allowing them to disseminate information to the general public so that people, and I know a lot of eyes are on this, and naturally, and people want answers, people want to assign blame, every range of emotion involved here, anger, sorrow, everybody deals with these things differently. She is trying to get through this, and the oxymoron of it is that, she feels incredible remorse and grief over something that, in essence, was caused by her, but was not intentional, was not even contemplated. Just a incredible, just freak occurrence that nobody contemplated, nobody expected, and but unfortunately had consequences.
Dire consequences. When it comes to her family, being they're a part of that community. She has kids. She has a husband. Have they been threatened? Has anything else occurred there? With, she's been vilified on social media. People taking wild stabs at drunk and before anything came out, because they can't fathom that this is just a freak occurrence.
No, so you're right. One, how you formulate, frame, or deal with an inexplicable tragedy like this, everybody reacts differently. One of the problems, and I don't think I'm the one letting the cat out of the bag on this, with social media and with something of this enormity happening, and I mean just the guttural, something like this, the enormity of what, sorry.
That's okay.
So when you've got a situation like this where you have just unspeakable tragic events, people deal with it in different ways. Unfortunately, social media, you have a scenario, and it's nothing new to this. We've seen it with everything. People feel that emotion. They want to either vent or opine, maybe even troll. Unfortunately, in this case, this occurred at 3:20 in the afternoon on Monday. And by 5:30 or 6 o'clock, if you went by social media, it was confirmed by certain individuals that she was intoxicated, that she was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. Unfortunately, there were some photos that were made their way to social media that showed a picture of her detained, basically her standing there with handcuffs. Again, in situations like this, that's protocol. But what happened here is you also had a disclosure of that, a disclosure of a vehicle with her name on the vanity plates, and it even rose to the level that people who, without any other basis, were 100% convinced that she was intoxicated, and there were calls already for what the punishment should be. And again, you wouldn't be human if you didn't understand that. I mean, the range of emotions when you have this. Yes, there's going to be anger. It gets fueled by speculation, and what happens, unfortunately, is as there's more of that speculation, all of a sudden, somehow magically that turns into confirmation, even though there's nothing there to support it. And as I said, as the evening went on Monday night, you had people that were 100% convinced that she was under the influence of alcohol and that she deserved the death penalty. Again, I mean, how do you fathom, how do you deal with the tragedy that the families have suffered, that the community suffered? And you're right, she's a part of that community. And when you have a situation like this, you also have a scenario where, you're coping with it, and you have to understand and the enormity of it. And, there's no right or wrong thing to do under this situation. And I think it goes without saying, and obviously, this has been devastating to her and her family. And you're right, if you can ever make anything worse than this, when it happens in a very close-knit community where, everyone knows everyone, they work with each other, it's just unfathomable. How people get through it and deal with it, you only figure out after time. She's trying to do what she can to assist and bring closure to this. And closure is sometimes it's a trite word, but in a situation like this is never going to be explained. You can't rationalize how you have a situation like this. But, what she's doing to assist law enforcement and really to assist the community is to know the facts. The facts here are that this was a horrific tragedy that was unexpected, unforeseeable, and, is a just freak occurrence that you could never contemplate until it happens.
A medical emergency.
Correct.
That's what they are.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch more videos from News Channel 20.